allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chair moves for approval of the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcements. September 18th, we have a Facilities Committee meeting at 7 a.m. right here. October 14th, Finance Committee meeting via Google Meet. And October 14th, Policy Committee meeting at 5:30 p.m. in the conference room A, followed by the next school board meeting. And now we'd like to move to share the success. Kelly?
Hi. Thank you, Paul, for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
I think it's been about 5 years since I've been up here. So we thought what would be fun this year is to take a look at where we've been, how often the Performing Arts Center is used, how many people are attending performances, and how many days is it actually quiet, and what we call that in the theater is dark. So we're going to take a look at that today. So we start with our K-12 programming for last year. There were 21 concerts total in our facility, and I won't read them to you, but they're listed here. And these are the approximate numbers of attendees because these are non-ticketed events. So about 9,500 parents, grandparents, siblings, people who love our K through 12 kiddos. Second, we have our school and community performances. So this is the fall play, the spring musical, GMS musical, and the other things that are listed here. The numbers in parentheses are actual numbers that I took from our ticketing vendor. So we have a total of over 8,100 people in attendance for ticketed events. Yeah.
And so when we look at the Hilltop Operetta, that is every other year with Shirley Hills?
Every 3 years for
Grandview.
each one.
Grandview too is in there, aren't they?
Grandview.
Or are they?
Is the middle school fall?
The middle school, yep, they are yearly, every fall, or every year. The fall play is every year, spring musicals every year. The Hilltop Operetta is every 3 years, and then Shirley Hills is every 3 years. But Shirley Hills
So this was a Hilltop year?
This was a Hilltop year, and this current school year is a Shirley Hills.
And then WCT is the community theater?
That is, yep, WCT is Westonka Community Theater. Last musical and this musical. I put that up there because you can see how much more this show brought in. Cinderella's a great show for families in our community. So a total of 17,659 seats, which is exciting. And then we have our renters. We don't have very many renters because it's tough to fit them in with all of our own scheduling, and we try to keep sacred space. If you're doing a show that you get 3 full weeks in the pack to have your set in there, use tech, and as we get more and more savvy with our tech and purchase more things to create cooler opportunities for lighting and such, it just takes a longer amount of time to prep that and get that ready. So Lori Line comes every year and starts her tour with us here. They do their own ticketing through Ticketmaster, so this is just a guesstimate on my part and the pack host of the evening. Westmet Nutcracker. Westmet is a ballet company that uses our facility every year to do the Nutcracker. They did 3 performances last year, totaling 863 tickets sold. And then they also do a spring recital that they call Repertoire, so that's the same group. And then new to us is the Lake Minnetonka Dance Academy. They do a spring recital here as well, so that's 2,224, bringing us to just shy of 20,000 people. It's hard to even imagine what we did without this facility. That's a lot of people. Those are just the biggies, but our pack is used nearly every day. And I won't read each of these to you, but I'll give you a moment to look through all of the different ways in which the Performing Arts Center is used.
You're right. How do we do this without this? It's crazy.
So Kevin asked me, well, how often is it not used? I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be a fun question to dive into. So I looked at the facilities calendar that I use. These were the 3 dates
Oh my gosh.
last year that the theater was dark.
Well, let's see if we can fill those.
Always room for improvement.
Always room for improvement, yeah.
So
We're a
that
pretty
was-
tough school board here.
But that's pretty impressive and exciting, and it just goes to show you that we really needed it, and it's being used, and we have I have great new facilities manager, we have great custodial people who really help me take care of the facility, and if you walk in, it still smells new. So we're really trying, even though we have 20,000 people coming, to keeping this facility looking as stunning as it can, so.
Kelly, is this student contact days that it's not being used, or does this?
Yes.
Yeah, so of the 184 for the calendar of student contact days, these are the 3 days not being used.
Correct.
Yeah.
And a lot of the weekends are being used
Yeah.
as well, but correct, these are 3 school days.
So when you look at a couple things just to comment with Kelly, or do you have others?
I think that was my last slide. Oh, no, I was just gonna show you next year, this
No.
coming year.
Go ahead.
Okay. If we go to our calendar on our website, starting September, you have a full list of all of the performances that are in the pack. And because of construction, the summer musical for WCT, Westonka Musical Theater, has moved to March, and they're going to be doing a winter show. So our new challenge this year is that during the month of March and February, we will be rehearsing 2 shows, 2 musicals, and a 1-act play. And building sets for all 3.
During those dark days.
So that'll be our challenge, but we're up to it, and all 3 groups are good at communicating. And I just told them, if you can get creative with sets, and your set then gets turned into something else for the next show, let's just really think that through ahead of time, because you're not gonna get a lot of time and space alone in that scene shop to pull that off.
I think one thing is, there's many things impressive. One is just how tightly things are stacked to maximize this facility. And so when you look at a musical, let's take the high school, the Grandview, the community theater, they get done, and there's a lot of intensity. You get done with that last show. And so you've crossed a finish line, so you think, right? And then they know what the schedule is. So Kelly, when they finish their show, let's say that it's at Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
Can you explain
Strike.
what strike is,
Mhm.
and then how it has to get cleared out so the next group can come in?
Yep, so typically, Sunday shows are for our matinees, and it's not only for our younger people to see a show, but a lot has to do with cleaning out that theater. So soon as that show is over, and everybody has said hi and bye to their loved ones, then strike starts that afternoon. So within 4 hours, that stage is completely free.
Wow.
So any big set pieces that they're gonna keep for another show go into storage. Smaller things get taken apart. The wood that is still good gets put back in its specific spot so that the next group can use it. And I usually need to get that floor painted. If they've painted it something funky, I need it painted back to black before the next show comes in. Green room is struck with all the clothing, because the green room is not large enough to house all of our costumes. It can only handle 1 show at a time. So all that has to go out, all the props get put back. And it's kind of amazing to see it go. I mean, it takes months to create this beautiful thing, and then it's demolished in no time flat. And yeah, it's always impressive after the high school musical, because that one is at the end of November, and we literally have 72 hours to prepare it for Lori Line. So nothing can go wrong. It's just, it's a tight schedule.
I think it's really
but
impressive
pretty
when you
cool.
look at the pressure that's on the space so it's ready for the next, is you would think, I mean, just put yourself in this place where you've given almost so much into that performance, and then thinking, okay, now we gotta get that out, because the next one with anticipation, excitement's coming in. and you gotta make space for it, and there that starts the next piece.
You talked about it still smelling new, and Kelly, I go way back. I graduated from Westonka in '75, so it was my 50th. So I remember going to the old gym auditorium at the old high school to watch plays and concerts, and even basketball games were up on the stage there. And then when I was in high school and my 3 sons were in high school, going to the little theater for concerts or plays or meetings or whatever. So for me, every time I sit in that new Performing Arts Center, I just sit there and just delight. It's just sheer delight that it's so nice in there. It's such a fantastic facility. So.
And as a music educator too, I know how hard these kids work, and now that they're mic'd and they can be heard, it's a game changer. And as an audience member, you get the jokes because you can actually hear them, So there's a lot to be said for all those pieces and parts, for sure.
I think I got this right. One real quick cool thing. So I believe the first high school musical in there was the Addams Family.
Correct.
And so one of the stars of that is now teaching in her district.
I know, and
Isn't that
she's
cool?
singing in my new choir that starts tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
So any of you who want to sing, please come sing. We're starting an adult community choir right here, but Emma is going to be in it.
Okay, good.
Do you have any logistical issues when you're striking a set, because of the volume seems to be exponentially getting larger, as far as being ruthless, as far as what to keep for set pieces, what to,
That's a constant battle of, do we keep it, don't we, how damaged is it? Yeah, and it's starting to get tighter, because at the beginning we didn't have very much. So that's a conversation that I'm going to be working with actually this Wednesday with James, because you gotta keep it under control. It's like your grandma's house and her Christmas decor. Do you know what I mean? It's just like this one light bulb from 55 years ago. You know what I mean? Get rid of it. I am not a pack rat, so it's easy for me to say that, but people get attached to things, and so it's a delicate issue. But that will become more of an issue if we're not on top of it, which we plan to be.
Plus, there's only so many times you can pave that floor before it's 2 inches thick, so.
True.
Kelly does a really nice job. So part of her position is our choir teacher at the high school, and then part of her job is overseeing the Performing Arts Center. And why that's so necessary is, one, to respect the space, but when you look at that schedule, it takes a lot of coordination, there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of follow-up that needs to take place. When people have certain issues that come up, someone needs to be able to answer and get those in place. And so she's learned a lot in these last years of operation, but really has done a phenomenal job of really pushing this space as much as we can to make our students, our community proud of having a great platform. It's done it really well. So thank you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Is there any guests here that want to address the board tonight? No? Then we'll move on to the student representative report with Stella and Mason.
So we do not have anything. We're going to be up there. We'll just read off.
All right. What did you do?
I tore my ACL and my meniscus.
Were you playing soccer again? Is that?
Yeah, it was right out there on Hadworth actually about 2 weeks ago. I know, I'm gonna be recovering with Sue all winter. All right, so we are the co-presidents for Student Senate for our school this year. We decided to run together because we have a new advisors, or I guess 2 new advisors this year, so thought some extra hands would be helpful. And then our treasurer is Georgia Harmer, our vice president is Emma Carlson, our secretary is Matthew Mabagi, and our communications officer is Edie Hollenstein.
So yeah, basically just a little rundown of what we'll be doing in the next couple weeks is, so homecoming is obviously coming up, so we'll have our dance, that'll be on the 21st, that'll be from like 8:30 to 10, and we'll have some karaoke after, and then Pet Fest will be on that Friday the 20th. And a new change this year is we're going to do coronation at Pet Fest instead of doing it the previous Sunday, so that'll be to get more like energy and more excitement towards like King and Queen and stuff like that. as previous years, it's been more, there's not as many people showing up on a Sunday night to the pack to watch it. So we hope for this to bring more people as well. This week, or I mean tomorrow, we'll set up the 9/11 tribute flags, just kind of bordering the roads coming into school. So those will just be up for 9/11, and then we'll take them down on Thursday, I think. So yeah.
And I think we have an update as well, like a 9/11 tribute going out
Yeah.
on our school announcements in the morning. And then Unified Club, which Mason is president of, is having an interest meeting this week. I think you guys know, be familiar with that, it's like working with unifying our community.
Yeah. So, and then National Honor Society, they're gonna have their first meeting on Wednesday. I think they met this morning just to talk over some stuff, but that'll get the year kicked off.
Yeah, and new members will be inducted or brought into NHS, like junior members. And then Link Crew had of course 8th grade orientation this summer. And then we have next week, I think, our first meeting with 8th and 9th graders, getting more acclimated to the school.
And then now on to athletics. I only have a report on a couple of them, but football, so I play football. So we're 2-0 currently, and then this Friday we'll be playing up at Big Lake. And then next week is going to be the homecoming game. That'll be out there, and we'll be playing Providence Academy. So. Yep.
And then I'll just read off our other sports that are going on right now. We have football, cheer, mountain biking, girls swimming, girls and boys cross country, boys soccer, girls tennis, and volleyball. Girls. So volleyball is also been having great.
Yeah, they've had a very good start. And then for arts, we don't have much just because the year hasn't really, the people haven't been in art class and doing that as much. But the auditions, I think they're today and tomorrow for The Man Who Came to Dinner. I'm pretty sure that's just the high school play that I think Mr. Lawrence runs. So that'll be, today and tomorrow are auditions, and I think they do the actual play in November or sometime around then.
For academics, I think our AP scholars will be announced soon, as well as national merit, but we don't know a lot about that quite yet. And then Westonka.
Yeah, and then for the Westonka update, the public schools, I mean, we're home to one of the top schools, and just showing by our test scores, we had a lot of success in that area. I think top 10 in the state in both the primary schools and, or Grandview's top 10, and then primary schools in the top 100. So, yeah.
Great, a lot of success this year.
Do you guys have any questions on stuff going on within the school? Or?
So have classes started too, or are you just doing all the extracurricular stuff?
Started last
I
week.
know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, extracurricular is a lot of time too. So
Yeah, no, that's what we're focused on, I guess.
Yep.
Rotary will be going next month. Can't wait. No more Nordic for me, unfortunately.
Way to go sometimes.
Yep, I
Are
know.
you both seniors?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's a bummer that, I'm sorry that happened your
Yeah.
senior year, yeah.
When do you,
When do I what?
did you have surgery?
Yeah, I have surgery on the 26th. Yeah, so after homecoming, which is good.
Best of
Then
luck.
it would walk. Thank you.
You're right.
All right, well, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Steve.
We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Ralph?
We begin with Heidi Jacinis, Westonka Williams, $200. Charities Aid Foundation, MWHS, $87.32. Ohio File, MWHS Athletics, $4.25. Hilltop Families, Hilltop Family School, $1,270. Anonymous Community Education, $225. Mighty Cause, Westonka Community Theater, $558.68. Northwest Tonka Lions Scholarship, $6,000. Class of 2012 Scholarship, $1,000. Northwest Tonka Lions Captains Club, $4,000. Westonka Lacrosse Boosters, Westonka Lacrosse Team, $6,365.67. Minnesota Lakes Bank, Westonka Dance Team, $100. JDP, Westonka Dance Team, $100. Tyler's Westonka Dance Team, $1,000. Magic Taylor, Westonka Dance Team, $50. Bound Back and Neck Clinic, Westonka Dance Team, $100. Whiteshield and Knight, Westonka Dance Team, $500. True Value, Westonka Dance Team, $100. Alla Amas, Westonka Dance Team, $500. Pro Nails, Westonka Dance Team, $50. IBIS Scientific, Westonka Dance Team, $500. Fairway Independent Westonka Dance Team, $500. And Pallades Elevated Westonka Dance Team, $100. Crown Automotive Westonka Dance Team, $2,000. Pretty soon the dance team will be able to finance the entire school, I think. So we have 2025 donations here today, $34,383.24. And Mr. Chair and fellow board members, I've looked at check ledger and checks, and all it seems to be in good order.
Thanks a lot, Ralph. We'll move on to the financial report, Kathy.
Okay. Good evening, board. We're back in the school year, so I'm returning to the enrollment reports. This slide gives a glimpse of the last, our first week of school. The three columns represent our actual for the last school year. We ended up the year with 2,404 students. The middle column is what we had planned in our budget, 2,386. In the far right-hand column is our first day of school enrollment, and again, that's our preliminary enrollment. We have a very important report that we submit to the state every October 1st, and so there's a lot of cleansing, a lot of verifying. If we have some students that haven't shown up, the state allows us to take the time to reach out to those students, work with the families, and so there's a 15-day grace period, and so we're kind of in the middle of that. But at this time, we are, on the first day, we're serving 9 students more than the prior year, but more importantly, we're serving 27 students more than we had planned in the adopted budget. So
we budgeted for less because we had a bigger graduating class and smaller incoming classes.
That's
right?
exactly correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Kevin, any comments on the enrollment before I move on? Any questions from the board?
It's 150 kindergarten, is that
yes.
a lot?
Actually, it's one of our smaller classes, and so we're doing some research. We did plan on a budget of 170, and that's kind of a common, since I've been here, that's kind of a common boilerplate. And so we're gonna be doing, actually we're doing a deeper dive into enrollment right now anyway. And Becca's been leading that charge with Kevin's partnership. We gained enough other students in the other classes that you know, it worked out okay, but we'll be studying that and even the impact of what COVID may have on future kindergarten classes. So more to come on that. Okay, the financial report, revenue and expenses through the end of August, they're quieter. In our summer months, we don't have a lot of staff here. Our utility bills are quieter. So you can see we have just the adopted budget at this point, and we have received $696,000 or 1.7% of our adopted budget. Our expenses through the end of August are $3,515,000 or 9% of the budget. And those both, even though it's so early on, they are tracking appropriately. Later on your agenda tonight, you'll see an action item for the proposed levy. And that's something we do every year. All school districts statewide by September 30th need to approve a proposed levy. And historically, we have approved that levy at maximum. The reports are fairly new and fresh. There's corrections being made. And when you as a board approve it at maximum, that allows the school district to accept any state corrections and alignments that may come between now and the end of the month without having another board meeting. We will submit that information to the county, and then when they prepare the proposed tax statements that go out in October, that will have the most accurate information at that time. The final numbers will be presented at our Truth and Taxation hearing, which will be at our December board meeting on Monday, December 9th. So again, watch for that later on your agenda. Okay, the only other two things I have to touch base on is we did have our district audit last week. It's not 100% done, but everything appears to have been in line and has been successful, a clean report. We are continuing to work with our auditors on the final details and kind of buttoning everything up to prep for the October board meeting, where they'll be presenting the final formal report. The morning of the October board meeting, our finance committee will meet and our auditor will give a more detailed review, as he always does, to the finance committee. Again, he'll be there that evening, and at that same finance committee meeting, we'll have a lot more concrete information about our levy and also more concrete information about our enrollment. And so that's what we have. Any questions?
Since the budget set for maximum seems to allow for the most wiggle room on the budget, when would be a time, just theoretically, when you have a set figure early on? I mean, is there some sort of advantage to having for some school districts, or?
Most schools I know do set it at max. There's just corrections that the state makes. A lot of times it's maybe technology issues that are going on. I don't know in my career that I've ever had a specific dollar amount set. It's just easier not to have to come back and have a special meeting to correct the number, and so it's it's just how it works.
It's just odd that they would have that option even if everybody benefits from having it set at maximum and not.
Right, yeah, in a perfect world, it would be nice if
Not
it was,
locking in.
if we knew it was spot on today, but it just doesn't unfortunately work that way. And so the state had allowed this because it was getting to be a lot of meetings for coming back to recertify a different amount. So it is an efficiency measure.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Teaching and learning report, Mark?
Just give me a minute here to read this.
Quite the backdrop there.
Isn't that something?
I like-
Soon enough.
I like
Do you have that in January?
I like the backdrop at the welcome back meeting better, where you were probably on a mountaintop.
Yeah, that was another story. Let's see, let's get this slider over.
Disappeared.
Sometimes things do not play nice between PowerPoint and slides. Let's try that. And close. We're close. But I tell you, I won't bore you with that. I will just do my report, and then we can share the slides with you later. I just wanna echo, what we're hearing tonight. It's been a really nice start to the school year, and one of the words that I would use tonight, it's been a normal start, and that we know what it's been like when it hasn't been normal in the past years, and it just feels good. From working with staff during workshop week to walking around the schools last week, and of course there's so many smiles in the elementary classrooms, and some smiles, even some smiles at the high school, as they're getting going, just a little bit. But I appreciate everyone's efforts, and part of that also starting the year off with, for our community, showing that we're doing a fine job. So you have a handout there with our 2024 Westonka test scores, and again, it was another banner year. And when we look at districts comparably, when we look at districts of 100 students or more across the state, number 3 in reading and math, number 4 in science, which is really absolutely amazing. I'm so appreciative of that. That's not just wishful thinking. That is very intentional work that is happening. And it's a reflection of what's going on in our classrooms. Very student-centered, very much being students at the center of everything that we're doing. And then it just goes on and on as you look in here, and you see, especially grade 3, number 1 in state in reading, number 1 state in math. That's huge. And number 1 state in science in grade 5, and on the back side, number 1 in state in math in grade 6. And again, when you have such success, it builds confidence in your community, because good or bad, test scores seem to be what people look at when you look at schools. And again, it's one lens of what we do. But I always say when parents call me in the spring, they talk about why you should come to Westonka. We talk about test scores, but then the next question to me or to them is, have you thought about taking a tour of our schools? Get yourself into the buildings to really see what's happening. So congratulations to our buildings, to our staff, just really job well done with this. The other quick updates I have tonight, multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS. That work continues this year. We're going into our 4th year. We'll continue our partnership with the University of Minnesota, and they have been a great sounding board for the work that we're doing. And the work now, if you recall, MTSS has 3 tiers. So tier 1 is a majority of students in the classroom getting core instruction, getting interventions. And then you go to tier 2 for students that are still struggling. So think about small group supports. And then still, if you're struggling, then we get into what is called tier 3. And that becomes one-on-one intervention. And that is challenging for public schools. It is not only academics, but it's academics, it's social-emotional health, and then behavior attendance. So in those 3 realms, we're working towards better and better systems, especially right now in tier 2 and in tier 3. And that's where the work is this year. So this complements great test scores, it complements academic success, but it also complements mental health and wellness of our students. And again, we continue that work this year. The last thing I wanted to share pictures of tonight, and you'll see them, we had our 2nd annual middle school robotics camp run by our Tonkabot students. And again, the pictures, it's 1,000 words. When you see middle school kids in the middle of August, just hunkering down on building robots, and for some of them maybe discovering a passion, a gift that they didn't even know they had. Because maybe mom and dad just signed them up because they needed a week of something to do, that it was a very successful event for these kids. And with that, what I've been waiting for a long time, I'm happy to announce tonight, we now have a FIRST Robotics program at every level. So for the first time, we're offering a FIRST Robotics Lego League at Shirley Hills, run by Katie Davis, our media specialist there. It'll be for grades 3 and 4. And then we'll continue with our FIRST Robotics Lego League at the middle school, and then our Tonkabots at the high school. It is an area, again, I've said many times, for students that are not athletes, they may not be musicians, but they sure love tech, and they sure love robotics. It is a place for those kids. And it's great now to see it at the elementary level as we go up into the high school. So that is my report tonight. Again, I just would summarize, just been a great start to the year, and look forward to more.
Those slides are all on
Yeah.
what was sent out to us, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are. So as we transition here, I'm going to try and get this back up and running for Kevin's slides, and then
I can speak to it, Mark. It's good.
Mark, one quick question.
Yeah.
You know, we're in our 4th year, you said, working with the U and stuff on the
tiered systems of support.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that,
yes.
how has that relationship changed with the university now that we're in our 4th year of working with them? Is there different
Yeah.
things they're bringing to the table?
Yeah, you know, in the first years of this work, it was heavy on them coming in, providing professional development. Now, what is happening is that they'll come in and work with our administrative team on a couple tasks this year, but it's really more office hours for each building principal and their MTSS team, where they're working on a very specific part of MTSS for, let's say, at the high school. We have access directly to the professionals at the U to say, hey, could you come out and meet with us? We want to talk about X, Y, Z with you. And they'll give some professional, quick, real-time PD on something. They'll coach. They will give us that expertise that we may not know the answer to something. So it really becomes a more on a one-on-one, real-time consulting partnership. We will not have this partnership forever. This could be our last year because we're at a place where it's very sustainable. but that's how it's evolved.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kevin, you're on.
Like Mason and Stella, Mark, others have commented, there's an energy around the start of school that if you're an educator, it's great to have the kids back in the building. When you have summer, you have some plans, you have some changes, you're anticipating this, and it's great to have the energy back in the hallways, in the classrooms, on the fields. And so one thing I would just share with you, and as Mark said, sometimes a picture does a lot better job describing it, but we have a lot of families really excited about the school year. We have kids that are excited about the school year, and that really takes place from our bus drivers picking them up and just seeing them interact with some of their kids to food service and some of our support staff and our custodians that are connected. We have it with, of course, our teachers and our administrators, but there's a lot of different people that all have their place in just making this a fantastic school year, and so does the school board. And I just want to thank you for how you've set the table for us for a really successful year. Our open houses went very well. I think there's just anticipation of not just the school year, but of things to come, which is the great momentum that we're feeling. On Friday, we had, as Mason said, we had our first home football game, and just a great turnout on it, just a perfect night for football. It was cool enough that a sweatshirt felt good, and just being under the lights. But one thing about football, a lot of community comes out to that, which is a fun connection. And on that, we were able to highlight our honorary captains, which was our robotics team. And it was just fun for them to be able to be on the 50-yard line and to raise them up as those state champs, because that's not probably an environment that they get recognized in that way, and that's a pretty big accomplishment. Talking to people that were former teachers here, alumni at that event, seeing the new brand up on the scoreboard and seeing that starting to take place. It's just a lot of energy of thinking about what that next stadium's going to look like and the conversations people are having. And so it's an exciting time for Westonka. I would say that our student body is, we really have, I think sometimes you say this so much for about so many things and it sounds just disingenuous that everything is great, but we have awesome kids. And so you look at them in the school, and it's just fun to interact. So I sent out a board report this past week that just kind of highlighted the start of school, and I touched on some different topics. One was facilities and just the projects that we're taking on. And we highlighted that currently at our primaries, we expect to be done with that project this fall. And then we're going to be able to have the resistant glass, we're going to have the door monitoring, we're going to have the lockdown capability, we're going to have some of those alerts that are going to be in place at our primaries. Thankful that we were able to prioritize those projects and get that in place. You look at some of the tragic news that just is too often in our nation, and it just highlights the importance that this isn't as simple as improved facilities, as that's going to really help, but it's just it's multifaceted of just how we work as a staff. And so we really appreciate, one, having facilities that can enhance our efforts, and also we know that we can't just count on our facilities. There's a lot of coordination with our teams and how we make decisions and how we run our policies, how we communicate, how are we proactive of getting kids help that feel like they have needs. How do we create a culture with our students that if they see something, they say something, and we report it and we try to get people help. And so we, as there's a lot of excitement, you also are aware of some of the realities that exist in education today. We also are really excited about the tennis courts. Here we have a week, second week in September, and now we're going to be mid to high 80s, not much of a chance of rain. The sand over there is hot as they're putting in You know, it was, as you're thinking about concrete going down, the first pour was about the 60s, and the next one it was in the 70s. I think this one will hit the 80s definitely when they're doing that third quadrant. But when I check in, right now we're running nice on pace. The weather has been cooperative, and so Peterson Companies and KA, they've really done a nice job of pushing. Lake Town out of Waconia is our electrical contractor, and there you see the lights up and you see things, and it's starting to take shape. You can see, okay, this is what these courts are gonna look like. I stand on field 12 where the stadium is, and I look that way, and it's fun to get the landscape of the campus. And so we're excited. Most importantly, when you walk on our current tennis courts, and it's not cracks, there's courts now that are not playable, and there's other courts that, you know, that's our best court, and that's how we're playing this. And to know that these kids in this community are gonna have really strong competitive courts, it's just, it's really exciting to not be talking about what's the Band-Aid you're gonna do to get kids a couple more years, to say they should be retired, and they are. They've served us well. Some of that asphalt goes back to the 80s, and we can feel good that we pushed that. So excited about it. We're also really busy with planning, and so we're gonna be sending things out for bid for the high school in October, get those results back in November. And so it's a lot of the final push there with the high school in Grandview. Grandview will be done over the summer. High school should be starting in April, and that'll be running till fall of 26. So we got a lot ahead of us. It's really an exciting time, a lot of details. Really just have to compliment so many people that are involved with this, from the facilities committee to our administrations to our staff. A lot of people are giving input. They really want this to be the best project that it can be. Excited about the brand rollout. One thing I would just say again is you're gonna see new logo, old logo, but you can appreciate why rolling this out before this facilities project was so important, because when we do the high school, that brand is a lot of different places, and so we're gonna hang on to, we're not gonna just spend money on something that's gonna come down in a year or two. You'll see some of that old brand up until those projects take place, and so this will take a couple years before we will fully transition. But in that, we're trying to prioritize areas that, between cost and longevity, where are the next changes that we wanna make. Again, as my communication, the reports have shared, at the November school board meeting, we're gonna be talking about our school name in our districts. Mound Westonka and Westonka are used interchangeably, and it's not a strong brand, it's not a strong identity when people use that interchangeably, where you don't really know what is the name of your high school, and it's referred to multiple different things, also at the district. And so we're bringing that up to the November school board to talk about that naming and to take action if that is an action that the board would like to take. And so we will prepare that to go before you. I would just conclude, one thing that we're really excited about this year is our staff. And we hired 12 new teachers. We had all of our staff in place, but we have a lot of staff that this is where they want to be. They're excited about being in Westonka, and so as we're excited about the new staff we bring in, I'm also excited that there's only 12 new staff, that so many people have chosen this as the district that they want to work. And I'm also excited about the people that are attracted to our positions. And so when you see them all in place and these teams forming, it's really a strong team, and I'm excited to be working with them. You have two action items before you today. One is +1. And what that is if you are someone that's on staff, you can get your guest into games under that ticket. And so staff do not have to pay. The reason why &1, or I call it &1, we have a former alumni that has a little business out. He takes basketball, so shout out to Jack Pfeiffer. He calls his business &1, and he's all over. He has a lot of followers, and he has basketball clips. +1. plus one is what this is, and we believe that more staff will be able to come to these events if they bring a spouse, or they bring a family member, or bring a friend to cheer on their students. And so we feel like that's a nice gesture that we've seen in some other districts where it's really bolstered people coming to these games, and so it doesn't have a huge expense and a way that more people can attend. And so that would apply for anybody that falls under a staff or people with that pass. The other is approving the levy. As Kathy said, we get that news really late. There will be changes, but that'll be finalized, and we will have that communicated well to the community and also to the board before the December board meeting. Any questions about the start of school?
Now, I can say I've talked to a lot of teachers and a lot of students and stuff, and man, there's just the highest energy level this year. Everybody's excited to get back at it at school. It's very exciting. I mean, we saw it, the people that came to the welcome back and stuff. I mean, it's fantastic. I love this time of the year, so good job. Chair moves for approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Discussion item. Chair moves for approval of action item 8A, approval of the activities department offering a complimentary +1 for game admission to district employees. Is there a second?
Second, and I got a quick question. So, just, Kevin, in the past, as you know, the district has offered those passes to, complimentary passes to clergy as a way to encourage them to come and see their parishioners in the sports events. Could they be included in that with the +1?
Yeah, I think it is for pass, but let me verify that and get back to you.
We can pass this for now, but you can always just add it in, but just, you know, I was always given 2 passes for myself and my wife.
Yeah.
And, so-
I have a question I just thought about, pardon me, I didn't mean.
No, that's okay.
It's a good idea. I was just wondering, how do we plan, what are the mechanics of getting the word out if we approve this? You know,
Well,
it's one of those-
seeing that this is with staff, we can communicate to staff
Okay.
easily in the district about this.
Okay.
So we'll be sending you, I'll have to check on
Yeah,
that.
and if clergy were added to that, I could get word out to them.
Awesome.
Thank you. So, you know, I think I seconded it, so.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8B, approval of activities department. All right, that's, I got a duplicate here.
Should read that.
Okay.
You got it?
Yep, got it.
Okay.
Approval of certification of the 2024 payable 2025 preliminary property tax levy. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anybody else have anything else at this point? All right, everybody, have a good one, and we'll see you next month. At this point, chair moves for adjournment. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good one.